All right, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back. Today, 7 round mock draft again. I know this is 4 weeks in a row now, I think maybe, for 7 rounds, but we are officially 2 weeks out from draft week. Oh man, how many days? 2 weeks out from draft week, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 days out from draft night. Um, and I always record my videos on Mondays, upload them on Tuesdays, by the way. So if you're watching this on Tuesday when it's uploaded, or maybe even on Wednesday or Thursday, yeah, the days at that point are probably off. But we had a big trade go down a few days ago, later last week. The Buffalo Bills, kind of out of nowhere. Now, I do know that there had been rumors and whatever, and maybe he wanted out or maybe he was a locker room cancer, but the Buffalo Bills came out and they kind of shocked a lot of people by trading Stefon Diggs to the Houston Texans. One, from the Bills side of this, I don't really understand it because you gave up Stefon Diggs, a 5th round pick, which is right here, pick 189, um, and I think a future 6th or a future second. I would at least have wanted to get I would have at least wanted a second. If you were only getting a second out of that deal, I would at least wanted a second this year. However, I don't get throwing the picks in there. Maybe Diggs in a 6th for a second. But I don't know. I think the Bills. I'm not gonna necessarily say that they got fleeced, but I think they maybe could have gotten more value out of Stefon Diggs. Um, so let's talk about these teams, their rosters real quick. I'm not gonna do a full roster breakdown like I usually do, for 7 round mock drafts, but let's talk about these teams' rosters real quick. So looking over here at the Bills, the main focus is here, honestly, is that receiver room now. Stefon Diggs, your true wide receiver one, is out of the room now. Who do you have? You've got guys in Matt Collins and Curtis Samuel. When I saw they signed Matt Collins in this, oh my bad, Matt Collins and Curtis Samuel that are were free agent signings in this current class. Matt Collins is the guy that you bring in, and I figure, oh, okay, hey, that's a pretty solid wide receiver 4, rotational wide receiver 3. And you bring in Curtis Samuel, who I feel like has been kind of up and down, but also been solid at the same time. And then you've got Khalil Shakir, who showed solid upside as like a wide receiver 2 last year in the absence of Gabe Davis, who also is gone now, after leaving to go to Jacksonville in this past free agency cycle. We've also got Justin Shorter, um, KJ Hamler, and Andy Isabella are names. I don't know how much production is there though. Um, but I just think that leaves them needing a true wide receiver 1. I don't think they have a true wide receiver 1. Moving on from there, their tackle spots are fine. Deion Dawkins, so they just gave a big extension to, and Spencer Brown, 3rd round pick in 2021. Then you've got your 2nd round pick from last year, Osiris Torrance, the guard out of Florida. I'm not going to necessarily say he had a great year, but he was a rookie, so I'm going to cut him some slack. We've got David Edwards at left guard and Connor McGovern at center. Um, if I'm, I think Mitch Morse was playing center last year and McGovern was playing guard though, so I would think it's gonna be interesting to see how McGovern does back at center now. We also brought in Will Clapp from the Chargers. Um, maybe ends up being your starting center. I don't know. You also brought in Lyle Collins, which I thought was interesting. Um, Tight end, you're fine. Awesome rookie, your 1st round pick last year, Dalton Kincaid out of Utah. You still got Dawson Knox. You got a top 5 quarterback in the league, probably a top 3 quarterback in the league in Josh Allen. You got James Cook, who broke out last year. Going to the defense side of the ball, you got some solid guys in that front 7: Greg Rousseau, Ed Oliver, AJ Epineza, Matt Milano. Terrell Bernard had a good year last year. And you bring in a guy like Nicholas Morrow, who's some solid depth. Same with Deshaun Williams. Von Miller's still there. Dorian Williams wasn't great, but he's still there. He's a rookie last year. But I think re-signing AJ Epineza was a big thing for this team in this free agency class. And then in their secondary, they brought back a few guys, they extended a few guys, they added a guy like Mike Edwards. Pretty solid secondary in my opinion. Christian Benford, Rasul Douglas, and Teron Johnson had all great years last year. However, I feel like one of those three is always hurt. You still got Kyer Elam, who was your first round pick in 2022, who maybe can finally figure it out. And if not, you're probably going to cut him. And then Taylor Rapp and Mike Edwards are not the best of safeties. I think they are starters, but I don't know if I would roll them out there. So talking about the Bills' needs, I've got listed as a wide receiver 1, potential interior offensive line help, mainly at that left guard or center spot. I'd say a backup running back probably. I don't know if I'd roll Ty Johnson or my guy Darrington Evans out there as my backup running backs every week, especially if James Cook gets hurt. And then probably depth, I would say, just in the interior of the defensive line, even if you might could get a starter there potentially. I don't know at 28, but maybe at 60. And then corner and interior backer health. My thing with their interior backer depth is, I think I said health. I meant to say depth is their health though. Matt Milano injured all year last year. Just I feel like they always have an injury on defense where they lose somebody for the year, and so I think interior backer depth is definitely a possibility. And then I'd probably look at a safety. I'd say their key adds this offseason were Curtis Samuel, Matt Collins. Their secondary keeps / additions. And the re-signing of AJ Epenesa. And then moving over here to the Texans depth chart. Again, starting at receiver. What do we got here? Sorry, I'm trying to exit these ads down. This receiver room is insane now. You've got Nico Collins, who had a breakout year last year. You got Tank Dell, who looked solid as a rookie before being injured out for the rest of the year. Buffalo guys. Stefon Diggs. And then you've still got Robert Woods, John Mechie, Noah Brown, who you re-signed, Xavier Hutchinson, who had some solid minutes as a rookie last year. On the offensive line, really, I'm not a big fan of Juice Scruggs. I think they're definitely fine at tackles. And I'd say they're fine at guards too. I would maybe look to replace at center, even though Juice Scruggs was your second round pick last year. Maybe you don't look there. Then I would definitely say backup tight ends in play. I like Brevin Jordan. I don't think he's a bad backup tight end, but clearly they're not very high on him. Dalton Schultz re-signing him was a big get for them. And then you got my guy, CJ Stroud, who all last year during the draft process, I was all on him going number 1. For probably from December until draft day, I was like, CJ Stroud should go number 1 overall. And I think at the very last day, I was like, you know what? Bryce Young's definitely going number 1 overall. But I might still would say CJ should go if I was making the pick. And he had an absolutely wonderful, like extravagant, whatever word you want to use, rookie year. I mean, it was insane. You also go out and you trade for Joe Mixon. You traded a 7th round pick for Joe Mixon. That's big. That's really, really big. Dameon Pierce did not look good last year at all. So you go in, you get a guy like Joe Mixon. I think it's a solid pickup for them. Especially when you look at that you only paid the price of a 7th rounder. Go on now. And then edge rushers, think they're fine. They go and get Daniil Hunter. Derek Barnett had a good year last year. Will Anderson Jr. had a very, very solid rookie year last year. I think the interior of the defensive line is interesting because you go out and you literally bring in 4 guys. Fadakazi, I think is how you say it, from Jacksonville, Danico Autry, Tim Settle, and Mario Edwards. I think that's interesting. However, I would still look to go get an interior defensive lineman in this draft. And then middle linebacker or inside backer, I think they're pretty solid. Christian Harris, kind of stepping up now. Who, if you remember from that draft class, if you were watching my channel, then I was a big fan of him. Aziz Al-Shair, Henry To'otoa, Neville Hewitt. They went and they got Delshawn Phillips. And then the secondary, you got Derek Stingley, you've got Desmond King, you bring in Jeff Okuda, you bring in CJ Henderson. There are two guys that have been struggling in their careers after being early draft picks. And if there's anybody I think that could fix them, it's definitely D'Amico Ryans. And then you're solid at safeties too. Jimmy Ward's very solid. Jalen Petrie had a very good sophomore season last year. And my needs listed for the Texans: center, interior defense line, and then really depth kind of at the interior backer spot, probably. Maybe some corner depth just in case, Okuda and Henderson don't work out, or Mike Ford doesn't work out, or Miles Bryant, who, two more guys that you brought in, don't work out, And then I'd probably say backup running back. Unless you are not totally out on Damian Pearson, I'd say backup running back. But yeah, let's get over here to the draft simulator and get this thing started. Okay, so real quick, breaking down the picks. Over here on Buffalo side, we're rocking 28-60, which are a first and a second rounder. Only 2 picks inside the top 100 for Buffalo. Then we've got a pile of picks back here in the back. 128, 133, which is a compensatory pick. 144 from Chicago, 160 from Green Bay, 163, 200 from Dallas, 204, and 248. Thinking about the trades here, I'm going to assume this is probably no. This might have been in the Rasul Douglas trade. I don't even know. I'm not even going to try to break that down. And then over here for Houston, you got 42, which was part of that trade that you traded back out of the first round with Minnesota. 59, 86. Those were the 3 picks inside the top 100 for them. 86 from Philly. 123 from Cleveland. 127, 188 from Las Vegas. 189 from Denver, which is actually from Buffalo. 238 from New Orleans. 247. This might be part of the Deshaun Watson deal. Not sure. Don't really know. And looking into the future, really, Buffalo's got 2 second rounders, a first rounder, a third rounder, and a fourth rounder next year, while Houston's got all their picks plus that extra 5th that they picked up in the trade. So I don't necessarily think it's, sorry, I dropped my pen. I don't necessarily think it is like big time, like, hey, we got to nail this draft, especially because you both already have, especially in my opinion, Houston, I think, has one of the most complete rosters in the NFL now based off what they've done this offseason. But I don't necessarily think that it is big, like, win now for Houston. However, Buffalo, I do think you kind of got to nail this draft. But we're going to get into it here. We're going to start the draft. We're going to see what happens. And at 28 on the board, Buffalo, I'm definitely looking receiver for who is here. And with Brian Thomas Jr. being that last, like, big, true wide receiver one, in my opinion, I don't know if I would go and get any of these guys. I do still like the Keon Coleman fit there. But my thing is with him is I don't know. I think Jerzon Newton and Nate, there is definitely some interesting players here. I'm almost tempted to go Zach Frazier. Even though I think you're going to rock that center, I think it'd be more guard at this point. I don't think I'd go guard this early. This is tough because with the receivers, it's really tough. A.D. Mitchell going one spot in front of us. I just now saw that is really, really tough for us. So Arizona went Romo Dunze and A.D. Mitchell. I've been flirting with that idea a little bit of Arizona going 2 wide receivers. Looking at the needs list, I think I'm gonna go Johnny Newton out of Illinois here. Oh, what? I'm logged in. Oh, I didn't change it to 7 rounds. Well, look at that, guys. We're gonna restart the draft. Sorry for that one. We're gonna restart the draft. So, Jason Newton still being here, but A.D. Mitchell is on the board this time. That's going to be the pick at 28 for sure if he's there. For me for Buffalo. Wow, Roger Rosengarten at 11. I mean at 41. Wow. Whoa, Patrick Paul at 36. So Houston's first pick on the clock at 42. I would definitely look if Zach Frazier's here. I would definitely consider it, and he is. I would also consider interior defensive line. You do have another pick there at 49 or 59, though, where you can go probably snag a guy like maybe Braden Fisk, Ruka Chris Jenkins, Tavondre Sweat, etc. I'm going to go Zach Frazier here at 42. I know, I understand. If you are a Juice Scruggs fan, that's fine. You think he should be their guy, that's fine. But I'm not big on him. And Ruka Roro is still here. He's going to be the pick at 59 for me for Houston. Leads us right to a pick with the Bills where we went receiver. Do we prepare for the worst? Do we prepare for the potential Josh Allen trade request and take Michael Penix? Nah. So we got our receiver, got a center there. I'm going to look interior defensive line and interior offensive line here. Christian Haynes being here, I really like. Maybe take that left guard spot over it. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think that's definitely what I'm going to do there. Christian Haynes out of Connecticut at 60 to Buffalo. Houston's the next team on the clock here at 86. Tavondre Sweat still being here is funny. Because we just took Ruka Roro. Really, I've knocked my two main needs out for this team already. So I think I'm just gonna look BPA, maybe even look backer just because D'Amico Ryans loves backers. He was a linebacker himself when he played. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. sitting here at 86 out of Clemson. Yeah, that's gonna be the Texans pick there at 86. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. out of Clemson. Houston's on the clock again at 123. Really, it's just BPA, and I think I'm gonna go get. Because we got two picks back to back here. I might just take my last two needs for them. A backup running back, Braylon Allen being here. Good God. Gives you a little power back right there with Joe Mixon being kind of more of a receiving back. And then you're going to look corner depth. Maybe you could even just say secondary depth if you wanted to. But my guy, Cam Hart out of Notre Dame, is there at 127. So that's going to be the pick for me. Now we're back to Buffalo, who we've went receiver, we've went guard. What do we do now? Safety, probably. Tyke Smith still being here. I think that's got to be the pick with him still being there. And then I would even look to potentially double down at safety. Really, not a lot of guys I like at this particular spot, at least. Look, BPA, I like Mo Kamara still being on the board. I like Will Shipley. I just think he's a very similar back to James Cook. And I don't know if you want to bring in the same back twice. I would rather bring in a big, he is gonna run the football guy like a Kamani Vidal out of Troy. But I like Mo Kamara a lot. I'm going to take Mo Kamara, even though I don't really necessarily think that they need edge and or edge depth. I like to pick way too much BPA. And Isaac Guerendo still being here. I think he could be what I'm looking for over a Will Shipley. Guerendo 6'1", 225. Shipley 5'11", 205. Really a receiving back. I'm going to go Isaac Guerendo out of Louisville. I think it's an interesting pick. And then gives me Buffalo again at 160, and we're going to have another pick at 163. I'm going to go ahead and bring in a backer just because I talked about bringing in backer depth. And I like Michael Barrett out of Michigan there. And then another pick, maybe look center here. Drake Nugent just went. That's who I was looking for. I thought I might have missed him somehow. I'm going to go get Miles Murphy out of North Carolina. Interior defensive line guy, late here in the draft. And really Houston it's just straight BPA at this point. I've already taken the 5 needs. If you want to say they're even needs for them. Really BPA, I think they'd be interested maybe in Ryan Watts. Bringing in Ryan Watts is another little corner depth piece because he's a Texas guy. But we're going to go Braden McGregor out of Michigan. with that edge spot there, and then Ryan Watts back-to-back their picks for Houston. Buffalo now gets tough. You're just so late in the draft. I'd say maybe you just look at what centers are even left here. I know people like Hunter Norzad. I just say I know people like Tanner Bortolini. We're going to go with him at 200. Bills again. Corner depth. We haven't taken a corner yet. Really not a lot of guys I like here. I'm going to take MJ Devonshire. Not sure if that's how you pronounce his name, but out of Pitt. Houston, again, BPA, they've got 2 picks left, so it's kind of just like pick whatever you want. We'll go tight end. Why not? Tanner McLaughlin. McLaughlin, yeah. No, you know what? Oh, I like Jared Wiley. I'm a Jared Wiley fan. We'll keep him local, TCU to the Texans. And then Talia. Why not? And then Buffalo with their last pick. We haven't taken a corner. So who do we take? We take Jarius Monroe out of Tulane. And that's it. That is the draft, fellas. So really, they've got so many picks with the needs that we're able to kind of take everything. That's interesting. I've never seen this more PFF mock draft assistant. Yeah, because Buffalo's got what 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 picks, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 picks. Yeah, top 80% of Buffalo drafts, overall grade B plus. Over here with Houston, we're top 68% B plus. They didn't like my Houston draft, I guess. Bills draft. AD Mitchell, I think, steps in right there, takes Stefon Diggs' role easily, and it's kind of like you just called it today, right? Christian Haynes comes in, maybe can take over that left guard role, maybe can sit for a little while and watch and learn, and maybe he comes in and plays. Tyke Smith, I think, adds solid depth into that safety room. I think could even vie for a starting spot. Over a guy like Taylor Rapp or Mike Edwards. Mo Kamara, you don't really need the edge help, but he's, in my opinion, he's a very good later round edge prospect. Bring him in. He's depth at the very worst. He learns from Von Miller. He learns from AJ Epineza, so on and so forth. Isaac Garindo comes in kind of like rotational back, probably with Ty Johnson and Darrington Evans behind James Cook. Michael Barrett, depth piece. What more can I say? It's the 5th round. Same with Miles Murphy on the interior defensive line. Tanner Bortolini, depth guy. MJ, I'm going to try to pronounce his name correct again. Or not again, but if I even corrected it or pronounced it correct the first time. MJ Devonshire out of Pitt and Jarius Monroe, 2 corners. I said I didn't go corner, and I actually had going corner, so that's kind of funny. Yeah, 2 corners out of Pitt and Tulane, depth guys, obviously 7th round picks, late 7th round picks at that. Texans. Looking at this, it's really not like I don't even know if any of these guys end up starting. Now, obviously, in my opinion, I'm drafting Zach Frazier to end up being my starting center. Ruka Roro is definitely probably a rotational guy. Same with probably Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Braylon Allen can kind of be your new Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce was a 4th round pick. Braylon Allen here is a 4th round pick. Power back. Hopefully he can be more consistent than Dameon Pierce, though. Kind of is a, addition, I guess would be the word, or a good, sidekick to Joe Mixon, who's more of a receiving back. Cam Hart, corner depth. Ryan Watts, local guy, corner depth. Jared Wiley, local guy, tight end depth. Braden McGregor, edge depth. Talia, I don't even know. We just took him. But yeah, that is my 7-round mock draft for the Buffalo Bills plus the Houston Texans after their big trade last week to send Stefon Diggs over to Houston, who now, in my opinion, you know what? I'm gonna double down on what I said earlier. I said one of the most filled out rosters. In my opinion, I think they might have the most um filled out roster in the entire league. That's all I gotta say. I appreciate y'all watching. Let's look at this first round. Interesting. Ooh, Bo Nix to the Steelers at 20. That would not be a fun night for me. Oh my gosh. Anyways, that's it. That's all I got for y'all. I'm gonna see y'all next week. With I think it's Steelers 7 round mock draft. I'm not sure yet. Last Steelers 7 round mock draft. Potentially. Not sure yet. Appreciate all the support last week. We got over 200 views on that Bears mock draft, and yeah, that's pretty cool. So I appreciate all your support as always. I'll see you next week. Peace.